What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell on if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video, because a lot of times they are Ravens news videos. And unfortunately, today's news is not good at all. If you did not know, the Ravens fear that they have lost Marcus Peters to a torn ACL, as well as Gus Edwards. Brutal, absolutely brutal. Obviously, after losing JK for the year, then losing Justice Hill for the year, and the injuries that they've had, they traded Shaun Wade because they had so many corners, and now it looks like they're missing some of the key pieces on their entire team. I'm going to start off. I'm going to talk about Gus Edwards, then I'm going to talk about Marcus Peters and like how the Ravens can deal with it, because there are ways that they can deal with it. Gus Edwards, obviously signed the extension for 2 years this offseason. Obviously I got to say before, the tests haven't come out yet. It's not confirmed that they've lost them. That's just what they fear. So hopefully, everything's okay. But, the Ravens love to be pretty honest in their things. And so when they say that, I do fear that they typically are pretty optimistic, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll see what happens. It came out that they're really worried. Similar to the JK injury, they were not, oh yeah, he could be okay. No, they were like, oh, it's probably not going to be very good. So with Gus Edwards, the biggest thing is running the football. Who will be replacing him? Now, the benefit is the Ravens did get Le'Veon Bell. They also got Trenton. And now there's a chance that they go out and sign another guy. Maybe a guy like Latavius Murray to add to that backfield. But right now, Tyson Williams is the number one running back on this team. And while people may be afraid of that, I'm not that afraid. I've said this all along. One of the benefits of Lamar Jackson, one of the benefits of Greg Roman is you don't need a great running back in order to have a great rushing attack, because you have Lamar and you have Greg Roman who can design that great scheme. So while, yes, losing Gus, it sucks. I think Tyson Williams and the guys that the Ravens throw out there will be able to succeed. Remember, every running back that's played with Lamar Jackson in a featured role has rushed for at least 5 yards per carry. Everyone. Mark Ingram came in, rushed for 5 yards a carry. J.K. Dobbins gets drafted, 6 yards a carry. Gus Edwards, 5 yards a carry. Tyson Williams, even if they don't get 5 yards per carry and they're like 4.5, that's still pretty darn good. That's still top of the league. So I got to say right now, I think Tyson Williams is taking over that job. I think there's a real chance that Le'Veon Bell by the end of the year could be running back one. We will see how he's able to perform. The Ravens came out and said that they're not ruling out a possibility that he could be ready for week one and be on the active roster, on Monday night. So we shall see about that. But I really think Le'Veon Bell is going to have to be a guy to step up in the pass catching game, as well as, running the football. And I believe in Le'Veon Bell. I've talked about this. He has not been in good running situations. If you're in New York with the Jets, you're not going to be able to run the football. Nobody's going to be able to run the football, especially with that offensive line, with that passing game, with that run scheme, like a terrible situation to be in. Then in Kansas City, they don't run the ball very much. So Le'Veon Bell was more of like a decoy in a lot of situations. And they don't have great run blocking in Kansas City. Now they have great pass blocking, and Patrick Mahomes is able to do what he does, but running is not the strength of that team. So I think Le'Veon Bell still has some juice in him. He could still be a very good factor, but we also, I got to remind everybody, we can't count out Tyson Williams as somebody who can really come in and ball out for the Ravens. The Ravens have had plenty of guys that have come to Baltimore, whether they're young or not, and like really stood out. Just think of guys like Alex Collins. Think of guys like Justin Forsett. Think of guys like even like Gus Edwards, or Mark Ingram revitalized his career. So, overall losing Gus Edwards, yeah, it sucks. I hate to lose players like that, but the running game, I'm not concerned with the running game. I think that'll be okay with the loss of Gus Edwards. Obviously, I hope he's okay, but it does still suck. Hopefully, everything works out. But moving on to Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters is definitely the bigger loss in my opinion, just because he is the turnover forcer on our defense in terms of interceptions. Because yes, you can force fumbles, but forcing fumbles isn't a guaranteed turnover, because there's many situations where you force the fumble, it goes out of bounds. Force the fumble, the offensive player recovers it. So Marcus Peters was that guy where he got the interceptions and he sealed plenty of games with big plays. The Indianapolis Colts game, the Buffalo Bills game, the Titans game, a lot of games that come down to Marcus Peters, and he's been able to play very well. And with him possibly out for the year, who's going to step up? I think it's got to be Anthony Averett. He's got to be that guy. Obviously, Jimmy Smith could be that guy that they, start at the beginning of the year. But Anthony Averett, I think, is going to have to be that guy opposite of Marlon Humphrey, with Jimmy Smith swapping in and out. Yes, we have Chris Westry. Yes, we have Tavon Young. But I think it's going to be Anthony Averett that we have to rely on. And he's going to have to prove that he can be that guy. And the Ravens have expressed their hope for Anthony Averett. They really believe in him. So hopefully he's able to play up to expectations. However, it's going to be very difficult to replace a guy like Marcus Peters. But one of the, I don't want to say benefits. I don't want to say benefits whatsoever. But Marcus Peters, the way that he played was he was a risk taker. A lot of teams were able to get big chunk plays on Marcus Peters because he will bite on certain routes and things like that. There's a chance that those bigger plays on him decrease. However, at the same time, the interceptions will also decrease. So losing a playmaker like Marcus Peters sucks. Obviously, it's kind of going into, I want to say it's the last year of his contract with the Ravens. He wanted to stay in Baltimore, but or he may have gotten an extension. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. My mind's kind of erasing in a lot of directions. But there's a chance that the coverage may not have as many busted coverages, but like I said, we won't have as many interceptions. So the Ravens are going to have to play defense more like they did under Dean Pease than they have done under Wink Martindale, where it's turnover central. We may have to go back to we got to hold them for no first downs and things like that, which can work as a defense. However, it's going to be very difficult. Losing a playmaker like that, like Marcus Peters, is going to hurt this team. Do not take anything that I say as either of these players getting out doesn't hurt the team. Losing Gus and losing Marcus Peters isn't a benefit in any way. It does hurt the team. However, hopefully the Ravens are going to be able to replicate their play in some sense. Gus Edwards will be easier to replicate. Marcus Peters will be tough. The Ravens don't really have a playmaking guy like that unless one of the safeties, most notably Deshaun Elliott, the Joker, can step up and maybe go after some interceptions like he did at, UT Austin, try and become that Longhorn that we drafted a very long time ago. But, he's got to be a guy that steps up to get interceptions. Patrick Queen can maybe try and step up, get some more interceptions. I know Marlon Humphreys talked about how he wants to get more interceptions. I don't think he will, just based on the style of cornerback that he plays. But overall, these injuries, they are tough. Hopefully everything comes out all right with the tests. By the way that the Ravens have talked about it, I don't expect it to be okay. I mean, losing both of those guys a week before the season is really rough. However, it's just something that the Ravens are going to have to push through. One of the benefits is there's not a lot of teams that have two really good wide receivers. So when we play against teams, that was always the benefit of Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey was when we go against the Chiefs, one can guard Sammy Watkins and one can guard Tyreek Hill. Well, the Chiefs don't have Sammy Watkins anymore. The only team that has two really good wide receivers that I'm worried about would be the Tennessee Titans with Julio and AJ Brown. But, I feel like our guys can do a solid job against, the Jarvis Landrys, the Chase Claypools, and of the world, where they're number two wide receivers. And yes, I do think Chase Claypool is the number two wide receiver. I'm a big believer in Juju. I think he's the number one, but if you disagree, that's fine. But hopefully the Ravens are able to, get things going. Hopefully, like they've done in many years past, they find some diamonds in the rough. Maybe Brandon Stevens plays very well. Geno Stone was a guy that could get interceptions. Ardarius Washington was a playmaker on the field. So they're going to have to recreate him in the aggregate. They're not going to be able to get one guy out there that's going to play like him unless they make some trades or something like that where they can trade for a playmaking cornerback. I got to say, I know Richard Sherman's out on the market still. I don't think they'll go after him, but he is a free agent right now. So maybe they go after somebody like that where they know, hey, this guy can play. The issue is Richard Sherman isn't a man coverage cornerback. He's a strict cover three drop corner, but just very smart. And we'll see what the Ravens do. Hopefully everything turns out all right. I'm not expecting it to, so it's going to be tough, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you everybody for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content and news, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.